The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Monday, the 11th day of August, 2025. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. I'm Jamel Hartman, and Simone Vaughn will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in the news break brought to you by People's. How's everyone feeling today? Happy first work day of the traditional work week for those who have jobs and work the traditional days of the old-fashioned work week. How's everyone feeling today? It is Monday, the first day of the traditional work week. How's everyone feeling today? Happy, excited to be back at work, happy to make it to another week, feeling healthy, feeling refreshed. What'd you get to do? I'll tell you what I did this weekend. I went to the first game of the Bermuda under-19s, right? And man, they were impressive. They were impressive. I think Bermuda has a lot to be proud of with those young fellas. They done very well in their game against Argentina. You saw, as Simone will share in her news report a bit later. But they had an impressive performance, scoring 300 plus runs, and then an outstanding performance by the man of the match, Saki Robinson. So, folks, if you can, we'll be sharing the link as well. You can watch their games. Today is a rest day before they pick it back up tomorrow and go up against Canada. Yeah, but they make you want the proud of them, and seeing other Bermudians who live in and around Atlanta out there supporting them was great to see as well. So support your young nationals, those representing Bermuda, and make sure that you are giving them the love and support they need so that they can be successful. All right, well, greetings everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome the chair of the Youth Advisory Board, Christopher Jackson, on. We're going to be discussing the Youth Mental Health Plan 2027. So looking forward to that. The daily play is going to be Bermuda trivia today. All right. A little question, a little something. Hopefully, if you don't know, you find out today. Yeah, that's why we're here. That's why we do what we do, so that we're all on the same page. Don't forget, if you haven't already, subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Let's jump right into it. We've got Kenton Trott says, good morning, TDH family. It's Monday again. I watched some of the game as well for the under-19s, which was great. Welcome back, Kenton Trott. We've missed you, man. We've missed you. Hope you're good. And look forward to engaging with you again. Hopefully you had a great trip. Suzanne Ingham says, super awesome Monday, Jamel and Simone. I think she means Simone Vaughn. Love your background. Happy to be back with you again, Jamel. 2 days without ETDH is rough, mate. Well, we missed you too, Suzanne. 2 days without you is rough. That's what you really mean. But let's jump into today's conversation. The question of the morning is, how do you feel about the sentences handed down by the courts recently? And do you believe sentences are fair? Well, why are we discussing this morning? Well, last week, quite a bit of you hit me up. Yeah, you hit me up. And this is your daily discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. But you hit me up and you were saying, Jamel, you're going to discuss this, right? And the title is Hit and Run Driver Receives Intermittent Jail Term. All right. So Basically, I'm going to read from the Royal Gazette. It says a nurse who caused a 3-vehicle collision while driving without a license has been dealt a 90-day intermittent prison sentence in the Supreme Court. All right. Melina Albanto Saldivar admitted, she's 45, admitted causing Carolina Enriquez grievous bodily harm by driving without due care and attention in an incident on October 24th, 2023. She also admitted causing grievous bodily harm, driving without a valid license, and failing to stop at the scene of an accident in connection with the same incident. CUNY Judge Alan Richards said that while the Crown opted not to pursue a charge of impaired driving against Salvador after her guilty pleas for the 3 offenses, he accepted evidence that she had been drinking before the collision. Mr. Justice Richards added that while Salvador had initially told family members that she had been in a minor fender bender after the incident, she should have been well aware that the collision was serious before she left the scene. You may not have appreciated just how serious the harm sustained by the complainant was, but you must have known that something had happened which, if you had been acting responsibly, would have caused you to stop your vehicle at the scene, he said. This is a strong public interest in sending the message that such is the duty of every motorist, whatever they fear the legal consequences of what staying put may be for them. Went on to say, the judge says he was satisfied with the facts of the case, including the horrendous injuries suffered by Ms. Henriquez, crossed the custody threshold, right? He took the unusual step of making the sentence intermittent because of Salvador's remorse and personal circumstances. Under the sentence, Salvador will be required to spend 2 days a week behind bars until the sentence is complete. He also banned Salvador from driving for a period of 3 years. The court said that charges were related to a 3-vehicle collision, at the junction of Coney Island and North Shore Road in Hamilton Parish. So, long story short, Ms. Enriquez was on a motorcycle traveling east on North Shore, and the car driven by a witness was traveling behind her. As they approached Coney Island, they saw a white Jeep traveling west and veer into their eastbound lane. Ms. Enriquez attempted to avoid the collision by pulling to the left. She was still struck by the oncoming Jeep and thrown to the ground before the car struck the vehicle behind her. The Jeep then continued to drive west without stopping. Anyway, information was given. They caught up with Ms. Salvador at her home. Long story short, Ms. Henriquez's injuries were severe. Serious injury to her right foot, life-changing injury, which will continue to cause her much pain and still has to go through things. Now, this has caused quite an uproar in the community. So over the last few days, I decided to go and try to figure out some similar cases or cases where an intermittent sentence was given. And I just could not find anything where there was a similar sentence. And maybe there was, but here's the thing. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the defendant was not a black male. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the defendant was not a black woman. Now, I wanted to see if there were any similar cases where an intermittent sentence was given, and I couldn't find any. But I did find a few cases where there were sentences given. There was minor injuries due to an accident involving a Mr. Todd, Shane Todd, where a sentence of 30 days was given, where he hit a bicycle unlicensed, uninsured. There was a non-fatal injuries. Timothy Skraders was given 8 months total. His motorcycle caused serious injuries. Hit a motorcycle, caused serious injuries. Court tried to avoid realization. And then there was a death. Terrence Walker received 3 years plus a 5-year ban. Fatal collision, left the scene. Justice upheld on appeal. And then there is Ms. Salvador, caused serious injuries, got a 90-day the intermittent sentence plus the 3-year ban, serious harm, no license, remorse, influence, intermittent sentence. People are concerned, and that's why the question this morning is, do you believe sentences are fair? How do you feel about the sentences handed down by the courts? How do you feel about it? How do you feel? What I want to say to you folks, and I know this is an emotional topic, but I think it's my responsibility in this seat to ensure that I am not throwing gas or oil on the fire. My job in this seat is to really find out, is this sentence fair? What are some comparisons? I'm going to be honest with you. I think for most of us, we did not even know that an intermittent sentence was a thing. But what the law says under Section 70L of the Bermuda Criminal Code, the courts may impose an intermittent sentence, meaning the individual serves their jail term in segments, typically weekends or specified days, if the sentence is 90 days or less, the age and character of the offender are appropriate, the nature and circumstances of the offense justify it, there is suitable accommodation to ensure compliance, and the offender agrees to comply with probation conditions during non-confinement periods. So it's tough because I know people are upset. I know people are angry about this, right? At the end of the day, there are laws set by the government, right? Really, the legislature. And the judges are there to use their discretion to apply, right? I think we think it's unfair because we've never heard of it. But actually, in similar cases, people have received, I mean, again, I just went over it, 30-day sentences for something similar, 8 months total. I mean, maybe the person who received 30 days could have gotten, intermittent, but, let's go a bit deeper. I mean, did this person have a record? El Salvador didn't have a record. Anyway, back to you, audience. How do you feel about the sentences handed down by the courts recently? And do you believe sentences are fair? All right. We've got Anika DeShields thinks it's ridiculous. She thinks it was ridiculous. We've got Lydia Simmons says, will this happen to others in the same situation? And that right there is why it was so important for me to share what has happened in other situations. That's it right there. Fortunately or unfortunately, it does happen. And intermittent sentences, again, there's no record of that happening. And I think that's the concern of Bermudians. It's like, well, has this happened anywhere else? And why was this person given the benefit of the doubt? I get the concern. And maybe, we just had Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions, Mr. Edley Duncan, on last week. Maybe this is a question that they can answer for us and give us some insight as to why. I understand why people may think it's fair. Maybe may think it's unfair. I completely understand that. Is precedence being set with the first known case where an intermittent sentence was given? Do you not feel this is justice? Let's go back to the audience. How do you feel about the sentences handed down by the courts recently? And do you believe the sentences are fair? Yes or no? We've got Kenton Trott says that is a very interesting sentence. Would the same be given to a 28-year-old Bermudian from Hamilton Parish? And I think that's the concern. That's the concern that many people have. Would this sentence be the same if it were for a 20-year-old, I'm going to go deeper, Black woman or a 20-year-old Black male or Bermudian period? Would the sentence be the same? I think that's where people are concerned. And the victim is going to have lifelong injuries due to this. And this person just has to serve 90 days, twice a week, until that sentence is done. It does seem unfair. And let's not forget, folks, no matter how much camaraderie we have in our community, there are still discriminatory practices that occur. So I completely understand why people are upset with this. But remember what I said after the election in February 2025? This is why you stay connected with your members of parliament. This is why you engage your members of parliament, not just when it's an election. These are the things when they come on your doorstep or you knock on theirs, these are the things that you discuss with them. Yeah? Manuela John says, were the other incidents by individuals who did not have a valid license? Yes, I said that. The individual, I believe it was a 38-year-old motorist, Shane Todd, collided with a bicycle on Middle Road in Devonshire, then fled the scene. At the time, he was unlicensed and uninsured. He was sentenced to 30 days in jail for driving without due care and attention. So that one, yes. So again, folks, I mean, I'm looking this up. I found some cases. I understand our concern, but where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Do we say, all right, cool, that we speak about it for a couple of days and then it goes behind, and then next thing you know, a young man, 25, visiting Bermuda back in Bermuda for summer from college, similar case, and now he can't go back to school or finish his studies because he's been given an 18-month sentence, not intermittent. I think people are looking for fairness. I don't think that they feel there's fairness in the system. All right, question again, audience. Question of the morning: how do you feel about the sentences handed down by the courts recently, and do you believe the sentences? Do you believe sentences are fair? All right, we've got Kenton Trot says, I hope this is a change in the judiciary to take into account people's personal circumstances and the totality of the situation. Okay. Monroe Smith says, we seem to forget that Bermuda is still a colonized people who don't control the judicial system, selective and biased sentence. And this was a serious case considering the extenuating circumstances. Dr. Anthony Richardson says, did the judge prepare a written judgment? If so, a read of the judgment would help to explain things, the judge's rationale for his ruling. You know what? I'm glad you said that because I was going to wait till later to touch on this, Dr. Anthony Richardson. I want people to remember what we discussed with Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions, Edley Duncan, last week. It's important for us to remember that when you're not in the court, you don't hear everything that is said. What we see in the news, what's reported, what's shared, is not everything, right? So we're literally taking only what's made public through the courts. These cases are available to the public, but it takes more work for us to go and read it. So I would say anyone who's truly concerned about this, yeah, go have a read and of all the case findings and see what was the difference between this case and others. Remorse, again, the person left the scene, understood, anger, vexes us, right? But in the court showed remorse. Now I know people say, oh, anyone can get in court and shed a few tears, crocodile tears, and seem remorseful, but are they really? We've seen crazier things happen. Again, I'm not justifying or excusing the action of the defendant, nor the sentence by the judge. But I think it goes a bit deeper than what we read on the surface, is what I'm saying. Traveling Charlie says, was she charged with drunk driving? No, the judge says he was satisfied with, let me just be very clear with what he said. He threw that out. He said he was, it was Judge Richards, said he was, he was satisfied that, you know, she pled guilty, I believe. He accepted evidence she had been drinking before the collision. So the Crown, puny judge said that, well, the Crown opted not to pursue a charge of impaired driving against Salvador after her guilty pleas for the 3 offenses. He accepted evidence that she had been drinking before the collision. So he accepted that evidence. But interesting case. Now, Suzanne Ingham says, Now, if we did that in her country, I'm pretty sure we'd be sent packing immediately. You driving in my country illegally, go home. Oh my, that's harsh. Um, that's harsh. Jody Zool says, I believe they have opened Pandora's box with this one. Well, again, based on my research, it's the first case in recent times where there was an intermittent sentence given. So you could be, I mean, we saw a case recently where Phil Parentchief won for Larry Benjamin, which I mean was a landmark ruling. If I'm not mistaken, a case from 2018 where he I basically he made a stay for Benjamin in 2024. That was a landmark case because he was sentenced, to 12 months, suspended for 2 years, but banned from driving for 4 years. But his initial sentence, he was arrested after a crash in October 19, 2018. He was charged with causing grievous bodily harm while driving while impaired. He did not appear in senior magistrate's court until 2023, almost 5 years after the crash. And, he was sentenced in June, I believe. He had committed almost 7 years ago, right? Which is just, it was just strange in itself. But that's a case where you can look at where, it's not similar, but it gives you some understanding of, having a good lawyer and, helping. I don't know if it's helping, but ensuring that he got a fair sentence. We've got Sean Smith. He says, my issue is not with the intermittent sentence, but the fact that she received 90 days for the offense. Well, again, as I said earlier, we had a case where a motorist fled the scene, unlicensed, uninsured, and received 30 days, right? So, I mean, you've got people who receive less, but that person also wasn't considered drinking. We've got Charles H. Jefferson II. He says, I'm assuming her lawyer asked for this sentence. Maybe the convicted provides a service to the community that is in high demand. If allowed under the law, I don't have a problem with it. Well, that did come up. People were saying, oh, this person might have a certain job. I'm not going to, get into that. But there are certain jobs where they're in need, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. I'm not trying to make excuses for anyone. All right, folks, we've got a very important guest coming up. We're going to show some love, pay some respects to our friends over at Titan Express Secure Trucking. Then we'll go to Simone for the news break. She's got some updates from our under 19 cricket team. Awesome young men. Came up short yesterday, but, they'll bounce back tomorrow.
The Daily Discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Visit TitanEXBDA.com, your leading tour and transport provider specializing in Black History tours throughout the island. And SecureBDA.com for all your property management, waste management, residential, and commercial trucking needs. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is our commitment to you.
All right, let's go to Simone Vaughn for the Daily Hour News Break. And after that, we've got Christopher Jackson from the Youth Advisory Board. Very important conversation coming up, folks. In the meantime, make sure you give us a like, love, follow, share the link with your friends, family, your colleagues. We'll go over to Simone.
Good morning, Bermuda. Today's news is brought to you by People's Pharmacy. From crayons to pencil case essentials, lunch boxes to nap mats, People's Pharmacy has your back-to-school checklist covered. One stop, all ages, zero stress. Starting off today's news, we have a shooting that occurred at the Southampton Rangers Club this past Friday. The incident resulted in a 19-year-old male being shot in the leg. An investigation is now underway. Anyone with information is asked to contact Acting Detective Inspector Anika Donawa on 717-2250 or by email at adonawa@bps.bm. Up next in News Today, the body of a male was found dead outside a Pembroke home on Fenton's Drive around 1:50 p.m. Sunday. Foul play has not been ruled out. The cause of death will be determined by autopsy. Police, including the forensic teams, are investigating and have not confirmed if the man lived in the area. They warn the public against sharing unverified claims, videos, or images circulating on social media, urging respect for the deceased's family. Anyone with information is asked to contact the police or Crime Stoppers. Ending off our news today, Bermuda's U19 cricket team opened the ICC U19 Men's Cricket World Cup America qualifier with a dominant win over Argentina, scoring 318 over 8 in 50 overs, led by Luke Fulton 74 and Keegan Jones 73. Argentina was dismissed for 81, with Saki Robinson, standout player of the evening, taking 5 wickets for 13 runs, including 3 maidens. Their head coach, Clay Smith, is very proud of their performance.
They built some very good lines, variation of pace, and very proud of all these guys.
This win boosted the confidence of the team, with players celebrating their achievements, but also noting what they can do better for the games to come.
Because we needed to lift some team morale, coming into this tournament. We needed more confidence coming into this tournament. And I feel this game, being the first game we play against Argentina, was really like a confidence booster for us. That's how we looked at it. But we needed to keep the professionalism.
Now, with one win against Argentina and the recent loss against the USA in the latest of the double round robin, the U19 team has the opportunity to make a comeback, putting into practice what they can improve on and build on the momentum of their previous achievements. Now it's time to take a look at the forecast. For the weather today, we're looking at a high of 83 degrees and a low of 82. The chance of precipitation is currently at 15%, with showers expected in the afternoon. That's all for the news break today. My name is Simone Vaughn, and thanks for tuning in.
Well, thank you for that, Simone. Yeah, man, they performed, man. Luke Fulton and Keegan Jones put on a batting performance for Bermuda on Saturday. They're just a good group. Luke Horan is probably one of my favorite players. He just, someone said it to me at Comp Match. Look at him. He just looks like a cricketer. Saki Robinson put on a bowling show, but there's a funny video of Saki. We'll probably show it on this show. So it was his parents' 17th anniversary on Saturday. And while he was doing that interview just there, I'm speaking about his man of the match performance in the game. He said, well, are you aware it's your parents' 17th wedding anniversary? He said, oh, that's the day I forgot. Oh, happy anniversary, Semi and Kita. And he's a character. And if you're on our social media, if you follow us on any of our social media platforms, we put up a video of the players asking him who's the funniest teammate, who's the most likely to be late, stuff like that. So it really shows their personalities. They're a very, very good group of young children. So young men, very good group of young men, all of them. So I encourage people. It's so great to see people who live in and around Georgia coming to support the team because they saw something on social media. So folks, if you know any Bermudians in the area, please have them get out to support. It's nothing like seeing fellow Bermudians out there supporting. They can feel the energy. They have games. They return tomorrow and Wednesday. Then they have a rest day on Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday. So get out there, support them, and even just watch online. Send them your love in comments on Bermuda Cricket Board. They are watching social media when they're not playing. There are some strict rules where they don't have their phones during the games. They have their stuff taken from them, but they'll see your stuff when they're available. And I'm telling you, it helps. They feel the support. We read some of the comments to them that you all gave them on the show last week, and it made them feel really good. Keep in mind, these are very young men. So the little bit of support that you can give them, even if it's just words, it means a lot and goes a long way. All right, days of the year. It's nothing fun today. We've got Play in the Sand Day. So Play in the Sand Day. I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite beach in Bermuda to play in the sand? I'll go first. None. I don't like sand touching my feet. Yup, I'm that guy. Like if I was trying to impress a lady back in the day, I might act like, oh, beach. Nah, not as a grown adult. But what's your favorite beach in Bermuda to play in the sand? Like you just want to what they call it, grounding. Take your shoes off and socks off and flip-flops and just walk on the beach. Mark Arthur C. Phillips, he says, Cooper's Island, St. David's. Shanna Smith, we are aligned. She says, playing the sand, N to the O in caps. We've got Dr. Anthony Richardson says, Warwick, Long Bay, Shelley Bay. All right. We've got you, Doc. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back after this. Don't forget, we've got Christopher Jackson on from the Youth Advisory Board. We're going to be talking about the Youth Mental Health Plan 2027. This is a very important conversation. So if you haven't already, do us a quick favor. Share this link with your friends, family, colleagues, especially those with young children or who oversee young children. Share this link. Give us a like, love, follow, whatever platform you're watching on, and we'll be back in about 2 minutes, 51 seconds. Stick with us.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Ready to take your financial game to the next level? HSBC is here to help you power up your financial fitness. Your strategy should be sharp and ready for anything, because luck won't get you to the top. Whether securing your future, growing wealth, or planning for life's next serve, HSBC's experts are here for you. From budgeting to investing, let's craft a plan as unique as your goals. Plus, get free financial planning consultations to stay on track. Learn more at hsbc.bm/financial planning. HSBC Bank Bermuda is licensed to conduct banking and investment business by the Bermuda Monetary Authority.
96 degrees, real hot, oh yes.
Summer's heating up, but your home, it can chill. BAC is turning down the heat with 20% off Carrier X-Power mini split AC units. They're sleek, whisper quiet, and smart thanks to energy-saving inverter technology. New install, upgrade, doesn't matter. Just don't miss out. For a limited time, get 20% off when you pay with cash, credit, or debit.
96 degrees, real hot.
Swing by BAC on Mill Creek Road today.
Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places, and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Paired with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Discover Drop It, your go-to grocery delivery. Browse and select from a wide range of groceries, from fresh produce to daily essentials. Our friendly drivers deliver fresh groceries to your door fast, saving you time and hassle. With Drop It, you get fresh groceries delivered fast so you can focus on what really matters. Drop It, freshness at your doorstep, delivered to your door with Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
Welcome back to The Big Show. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Linda's, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. Folks, please don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com, and follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, let me just say this real quickly. Folks, in the words of Mark Arthur C. Phillips, our day one community, TDH community member, whatever platform you're on, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter X, Instagram, take 1 second, just 1 second, and give us a like, love, follow, share, subscribe. It costs you nothing. Help us beat the algorithm so as many people as you know have access to this most important community conversation with our guest coming up, Christopher Jackson. Before we bring him on, I did ask you, what beach do you love to play in the sand on? And Adeline Swan says, absolutely none, JH. I agree. No sand touching my feet. We've got Clearwater Beach, says James Burgess. Suzanne Ingham says, I don't like sand. Jump off the roads or docks, no sand. And Letha Blackman Fourth says, my favorite beach is John Smith Bay. Okay, so you put your feet in the sand on John Smith Bay. All right, without further ado, let's bring our very special guest for the day. We've got Christopher Jackson. He's the chair of the Bermuda the Youth Advisory Board. Let's give him a warm TDH welcome. Greetings, sir. How are you?
I'm normally not a morning person, but you know, for an opportunity like this, I have to be great. So
well, I'm happy that you can make that exception. I am extremely excited. You know, it is early. You know, we had a former premier once say, man, why you guys do this so early? I'm like, well, somebody has to. But thank you for making the exception. Before we jump into anything, I got to ask you, what beach in Bermuda do you like putting your feet in the sand?
I would have to say Whale Bay, just because it's the closest to my house.
Man, convenience is a thing. Convenience matters. Convenience matters. Well, yeah, I'm not a beach guy, man. You know, I'm that guy who was happy that they created water shoes. So I don't have to, yeah, they take my Bermudian card for that sometimes. But thank you for joining us, Christopher. Thank you. Appreciate you making time for us. Before we jump into the conversation, just give people a bit about your background. Let them know who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah, so grateful to be on here. My name is Christopher Jackson. I am the chair of the Youth Advisory Board, which is just basically the governing body of youth under the Youth Mental Health Plan. A little bit about my background is that I'm someone who has had lived experience with mental health, someone with some professional backgrounds within mental health. So my bachelor's degree was in behavior analysis. I've done internships at Solstice in the group's behavior, in the groups therapy programs. I've also been employed with Child and Family Services. I've worked at autism clinics, and next week I'm starting a master psychology program. So just all around mental health, lived experience professionally. Yeah, so that's me in a nutshell.
Okay. Definitely come with some pedigree. We're here to discuss the Youth Mental Health Plan 2027. Why is it such an important step for Bermuda's young people, this plan?
Yeah, so with the Youth Mental Health Plan 2027, actually in 2022, Dr. Dan Cavanaugh, who I think he's been on the show as well, he undertook a national survey where with all schools and adolescents participating. It basically gave us some key data and some insights in basically the occurrence of mental health symptoms within our youth. And basically from that survey, we were able to see that, 30% of adolescents experience depressive symptoms, 25% of adolescents experience anxiety symptoms. And the biggest or a key piece is that these rates of occurrences in Bermuda are 4 to 5% higher than global averages. So it's really important for us to be able to do something about it. When other countries are calling this thing a crisis and they have lower rates than us, our rates are higher. So it's definitely important.
Audience, if you have any questions or comments for Christopher, please send them through. We'll get through as many. If you have any questions about the plan or anything to do with the Youth Advisory Board, send your questions and comments through, and we'll get through as many as possible. So this Youth Advisory Board is going to be playing a central role in this plan. Just go into a bit more detail what the board actually does and how it ensures that youth voices are truly being heard and shaping the mental initiatives.
Yeah, so with the Youth Advisory Board, it's basically broken down into 3 subcommittees. The first subcommittee will be policy and advocacy. The next one will be mental health literacy co-design. And the third would be events and campaigns. And so through those subcommittees, young people will have the chance to basically push for changes that they want to see within mental health. So behind you can see like the Youth Mental Health Plan and a lot of the recommendations that they have. One of them is for changing legislation surrounding the age of consent for access to mental health services. And we actually had a youth advisory working group that undertook a national debate back in May of this year, and over 500 people tuned in, and now it's in conversations within policymakers, and so it's just sort of those practical steps of speaking in front of politicians at mental health forums. I'm also going to be joining the National Youth Policy Group, so sitting on in meetings and advocating for policy there, but also the investment from the research team into the Youth Advisory Board members. So we have international trainers that are coming down to do a lot of training on youth engagement, advocacy, and then we also have some international trainers who are basically researchers who I'll talk a bit about this later, but doing a lot of co-design to basically shape a lot of the programs that we're advocating for with the youth themselves that we're looking to implement in schools, youth groups, and a lot of other institutions.
All right. And audience, I'll get to your questions and comments. You can keep them coming through. We'll get to them in a bit. And for those tuned in on Hot 107.5, we're speaking with Christopher Jackson, the chair for the Youth Advisory Board, and speaking about the Youth Mental Health Plan 2027. Stigma around mental health has been a major barrier for people in general getting help. How is this plan working to change that perception and create a more supportive environment for young people in particular?
100%. And I just want to highlight the fact that you said that stigma is a really big problem. Like within the data that we found, it was only 3 out of 10 adolescents said that they would seek help. And what we found is that sometimes the stigma is often worse than the mental health symptoms themselves. And so with the Youth Mental Health Plan, the implementation of these stigma campaigns, basically just the broader cultural change that it brings with the conversations. So within specifically the Youth Advisory Board, we're looking to, within the Youth Mental Health Plan, we're looking to implement school health promotion committees. And basically school health promotion committees, we're looking to participate with every single school in Bermuda. We've had conversations with some, and basically just have youth within that school just drive mental health awareness within the school, create that culture. And, the goal is for Youth Advisory Board members to sort of be a part of the school health promotion committees, but also serve on the Youth Advisory Board for like a national level to be able to like talk to children from other schools and get feedback, what's happening in private schools, what's happening in public schools, and just create that conversation to then go back to implement. So from the schools level, implementing the Youth Mental Health Plan looks to just create that culture where mental health is talked about, and also just from a wider, more national goal, the legislation change, the relocation of, or making services more accessible, less stigmatized, and all those sort of things, really go a long way.
So you're currently recruiting members for the 2025-26 term. What kind of young people are you looking for to join, and what skills or experiences can they bring to the table?
Yeah, so in terms of what I'm looking for, youth that are between the age of 14 to 18, and basically that's really the only prerequisite. You don't really have to have you don't have to have a mental illness. You don't have to want to work in like the mental illness field. Basically, if you're an adolescent and you want to be involved in your community, that's really it. There's a lot of training and there's a lot of support that goes into it. So if you're not as good at public speaking, there's people to support you in that, and there's other avenues that you can get involved. If you are good at public speaking, this is a great opportunity for you to get yourself out there, to advocate, and just be involved. So really, there's no prerequisites, just basically a wanting to be involved in real engagement and real advocacy.
Got it. I want to go to the audience in a second, but this plan emphasizes prevention, early intervention, and increased access to services. What are some of the practical changes that young people might see as these strategies are implemented?
Yeah. So you're right with prevention and your question about what young people may see. I think I can go further and say what can young people be involved in the process by being on the youth advisory board. I mentioned before the school health promotion committees. I also mentioned the advocacy for legislation change. So with the school health promotion committees, they're the ones driving the cultural impact of conversations about mental health, but they're also the ones that we want to sort of drive the next survey that'll be in 2027 to see where we're at. Also, with regards to making services more accessible, youth can be a part of the advocacy for relocation of some services, whether it's CAS or other types of service away from the MWI site. That's a big thing. And then the other piece is the mental health literacy programs, which goes a long way for prevention specifically. And so with the co-design with the youth themselves for the mental health literacy program, it basically will require all students in the school to have some sort of literacy around mental health, hopefully before they ever or before their mental health symptoms gets to an acute level where they need extreme services. So before that level.
All right. We've got, let's go to some questions. Again, audience, if you have any questions or comments for Christopher Jackson, he's the chair of the Youth Advisory Board. We're talking about the Youth Mental Health Plan 2027. If you have any questions, comments, you can send them through. Mark Arthur C. Phillips, he says, Mr. Jackson, do you find that your generation are talking more and more about their mental health?
I would say yes. Just being a young person myself, I'm only 22 years of age. I would say that we do talk more about our mental health, but it's always amongst ourselves. And while there is value in peer support, we also have to recognize the fact that we are youth, and our thought patterns and our thinking strategies aren't fully developed. And so there is a block between talking amongst friends about it and then talking to trusted elders about it for the help seeking part. So I would say yes, but among peers.
I'm curious, from this data and surveys, does substance abuse play any role in some of the challenges that youth are facing as far as mental?
So specifically for this data, we didn't track that, but the goal is for future surveys to include some sort of metrics that does track that.
Okay, thank you for that. We've got Dr. Anthony Richardson. He says, will there be a follow-up to ensure there is a degree of effectiveness, ensure that the chosen plan is working?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm glad that question came up as well. So specifically for the Youth Advisory Board, we are sort of outlining our metrics to be able to do entry and exit surveys to track the effectiveness of the Youth Advisory Board. But specifically for the broader Youth Mental Health Plan, the goal is to run the survey that we ran in 2027. So the survey that was ran in 2022, we got the results, we got the recommendations, which is behind me. And then the goal is to implement these by 2027 and then run the survey again to see if there is a change in occurrences and all that type of stuff. And then from the 2027 survey, the goal is to run the survey every 3 years, just to see, basically to track the effectiveness of the implementations that are being put forth.
I know you mentioned the ages earlier, but Charles H. Jeffs II, he's asking, what's the age range of youth covered under this advisory board? What is the age of consent currently? And what does the board recommend it be changed to?
Okay, so for the first question, the age range for Youth Advisory Board, it's 14 to 18. So anyone from the age of 14 to 18, feel free to apply. I think the second question was about the age of consent, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so currently in Bermuda, the age of consent for accessing mental health services is 18. And previously when we had our debate back in May, which I would invite those to go look at it. It's on YouTube. It is recorded. They advocated for it to be reduced to 16, and there were plenty of other jurisdictions, even further down in the Caribbean, who have just started this process of changing it to 16. And then there's also a big push to even change it under to 16. But for now, since ours is 18, we're sort of pushing for 16 as that number.
Alrighty. We've got James Burgess says this is needed for what's going on in the island. And Dr. Anthony Richardson says, I congratulate you for starting the conversation about what has always been a taboo subject. Well done. Finally, for a young person listening right now who wants to get involved, or for someone who knows a great candidate, what's the process for joining the Youth Advisory Board and making a difference?
Yes. So for anyone interested and anyone wanting more information, you can email me at ymhbermuda@gmail.com. For those that are like, yes, I'm ready to go, we do have an online application. It's through a Google form. The link can be accessed through like our Instagram page, our Facebook page, or our TikTok. So for Instagram and Facebook, it's Youth Mental Health Plan Bermuda. Sorry, for Instagram and TikTok, it's Youth Mental Health Plan Bermuda. And then on Facebook, the name is US Bermuda, so US Bermuda. It's basically just simple questions asking you like your name, age, the school that you'll be at in September. The only thing that is asked outside of those basic questions is like to submit a 2-minute video, basically explaining what mental health means to you. And so, applications are open throughout the rest of this month. But if anyone wants more information, you can email me at ymhbermuda@gmail.com. And I'll be more than happy to either set up a meeting with you. I'm very flexible. So, yeah.
We've got Charles H. Jeffers II asking a very important question. What can older adults do to support this initiative and help to remove the stigma?
So for older adults, I mean, the biggest thing for me is just really listening to your children, and sort of coming from the mindset that mental health may manifest itself differently among different people, but it's mental health nonetheless. So there isn't one mental health experience that is more important or more significant than the other. I think that when we start to have these conversations and sort of just take the information for what it is and not try to like categorize it and then I'm an adult, so this is more important or this is more significant because it may be more intense. I think a big part about reducing the stigma is just recognizing the fact that almost everyone can experience mental health, but the way that it manifests itself is different. So if it's different than from what you may experience or what I may experience, I think just having that in the back of your head as you're like interacting with people and talking to people, I think it can go a long way for reducing stigma.
Indeed. Thank you for that. Karen Edward Simmons asking, morning, Christopher. What is the cap of the age for the survey other than school age? My 2 young adults would have missed this survey as both are a bit older than yourself, but under 25 years.
Right. So the cap age for the survey, it'll be 18. So those within, I think that's like the last year of high school. So if your children are older than me, so they wouldn't have been a part of the 2022 survey. And so right now we're sort of focusing on the data from for those teenage years, like 14 to 18, and a bit younger, but the cap age is 18 years.
Alrighty. Not sure if you can answer this, but Mark Arthur C. Phillips is asking, have you noticed that there is a growing movement in Bermuda who are abstaining from drugs and alcohol in order to protect their mental health?
I mean, me personally, I can't say that I have, but if that's the consensus within the community, that is extremely positive, and I would support that 100%.
Well, I think Mark may be referring to, I'm not sure, don't want to speak for him, but there have been growing number of reports in the United States, for instance, surveys that Gen Zs are drinking less and doing less of what has always been done. So certain industries that were thought to never ever go in that are definitely failing. And now I think things are shifting to, I guess it's called vaping. People, young people doing that. But Christopher, thank you for this conversation. And I truly ask the audience. I don't have the ego where I need people to like me, but I want to ensure that as many people have access to these important community conversations, because the work that you're doing is incredibly important. I've been very transparent. I was in therapy from a child through an adult. I understand the importance of it. It's something I wrote in Carla Zule's She Hub a couple years before my mom passed, about being grateful for Dr. Ewart Brown for, helping my mom get me the assistance I needed as a young child. And I mean, myself and one close friend, but we were the only two who actually had any form of assistance with our emotions and the like as children. It wasn't something, it's still frowned on in many respects. And so I appreciate that you've been transparent about yourself, but also, doing the work to ensure that we become a healthier community for our young people. So thank you for what you're doing. And I encourage our audience, I ask you kindly, I'm not here to beg you to share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. When we say like it and love it, we're asking you to help beat the algorithm so that as many people know that this is going on. There's no reason for people to say, well, I did not know that we were having this survey. I did not know that this was happening. This is the day of the internet. Information is more accessible. And what better way to ensure that people have access to it than those who are tuned in and who are engaging to share it, to make sure that others have it as well. So we are definitely grateful for you doing this, stepping up. And please don't be a stranger. Let us know what we can do with this platform to help you and assist you as you move forward with progressing as the chair of the Bermuda Youth Advisory Board. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, Christopher Jackson, folks. If you appreciated that conversation, please do us a favor. There's way too many of you tuned in for you not to be sharing or engaging and liking and loving this post, to make sure we beat the algorithm so that as many people have the information that Christopher Jackson discussed this morning. So just do us that favor. It literally costs you nothing. We're going to take our final break. We'll come back with a daily play. Stick with us. Don't go anywhere, but you've got time to do the likes, the loves, the follows. Do what Mark Arthur C. Phillips is always asking you to do, folks. We'll be back in a minute.
Considering the increasing challenges faced by financial institutions, the need for insurance protection is a critical component of the risk management framework. At Friesenbrook, our priority is to safeguard your assets with the most optimal, cost-effective risk management cover to help protect your business, whether it be cyber, directors and officer liability, professional indemnity, or property insurance. Call us on 296-3600 to learn more about our full suite of competitive corporate insurance products. At Friesenbrook, we provide insurance you can count on.
Dreaming of expanding your business? With BDC's Loan Guarantee Program, we support your ambitions. Get up to 75% guarantee on bank or credit union loans up to $300,000. Just your vision and our support. Apply today and unlock new business opportunities. BDC, Bermuda Business starts here.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Novazok Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Big Show. Thank you all so much for engaging with us. I want to say a big thank you to Christopher Jackson for trusting this platform to have such an important community conversation with us. And thank you to everyone in the audience who continues to engage and share and ensure that as many people as you know have access to these most important community conversations. Our hope is that more people have the confidence in this platform to engage us live and bring this information forth. And yes, we did have Mr. Kavanaugh on. Happy to have Christopher Jackson, and we're happy to continue these conversations because, was it Whitney Houston who said, children are our future? And I'm not making light of it, but it's true. Like the youth of today are going to be the ones taking care of us us if we're lucky or blessed enough to live long enough. So we want to make sure that they're in the right state to do that, right? So we appreciate Mark Arthur Phillips. He says, I post the conversation in my family chat. It costs you nothing, really. So many of you have young people in your lives, whether you're educators, parents, guardians, coaches, mentors. Share the conversation. Make sure that they know that there are people who are doing things to help them, to be there for them, and to support them. So thanks again to Christopher Jackson. Thanks to BAC Group of Companies, Medical Linda's, People's Pharmacy, and HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can have these most important community conversations on this platform for all of Bermuda. All right. Folks, it is time for the Daily Play brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter X, TikTok. Find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. It is Bermuda Trivia today. I think you all will get this. I think the regiment, the Bermuda Regiment, Royal Bermuda Regiment, as they're known as today, are celebrating a milestone this year. So the question is, the Bermuda Regiment was formed in what year? Well, it's not 1952, Cousin Mark, but Sheldon Fox, you should have been disqualified. You should have been disqualified. But you got it, 1965, Manuela John, 1965. Yes, the amalgamation of the White Bermuda Rifles and the Black Bermuda Militia helped form the Bermuda Regiment in 1965. And yes, Dr. Anthony Richardson, you got it. They will be celebrating 60 years this year, the Royal Bermuda Regiment, 60 years of service to Bermuda and Bermudians. All right, folks, got to wrap it up. But as far as the discussion earlier, I just, we're emotional beings. We're human, and we're very emotional. I am guilty of it, as you all know. But I would love to see us be more strategic and thoughtful. I'm upset with this sentence as well. But the first thing I did, I received the that article about the intermittent sentence. And the first thing I did, well, let me look up, see if this has been done before. Let me see what similar people have received before. I want to change the way we respond. I want to change the way we respond as a collective. And I think the response shouldn't be one of anger in this situation, but it should be, let me figure out how and why this sentence was given. And then let me figure out how we can possibly move forward if we still believe it's unfair. Because the anger doesn't last long. We get angry for a minute and then we forget and move on until the next time. The key to these situations is addressing it and figuring out, is it fair? If it's unfair, what do we do to change it? If it is fair, okay, how do we move forward to ensure that it's consistent? That makes sense? I hope that makes sense to everyone. As far as the conversation with Christopher Jackson, as I said, I think we have a duty when we have a platform like this. We can do our jokes of the day and entertain and have fun, but this show exists because of conversations like today. When I told my advisory board and my colleagues I wanted to do a morning talk show, these are the conversations that I was thinking of. Conversations that help improve our community, that give us opportunities to find ways to improve what's happening in the lives of all of us. So I'm grateful that this work is being undertaken. I'm grateful that it's being taken seriously, and especially among our youth. And I'm grateful that you all continue to engage with us and do your part to ensure that as many people as possible have access to these most important community conversations. So thanks again to Christopher Jackson and those on the Youth Advisory Board. Daily inspiration. Having watched Bermuda's under-19 team perform on Saturday was brilliant. I did not get to make the game yesterday, but I did follow it and watch some of it. And it was much more difficult. And what I would say to them, I would say to all of you, and I've said similar things on this show before, the definition of a champion is not in celebrating the victory. It's how you respond after a loss. Keep going. Keep going. All right, folks. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airways with these most important community conversations. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.